So I'm a big believer in the value of using online dating platforms. I've made many connections, both short-term and long-term, and I've been on dates from every platform that I ever used. The type of apps that I've used has varied hugely as well, from free to expensive and simplistic to complex. I've also coached people in how to best navigate online dating. And I've had many clients enjoy great success because of this. From all of this, I'm sure you can tell that I am a fan of online dating. But today I've read a new article which paints a certain app in a bad light. Now, Tinder is no stranger to bad press, but I know many people, including myself, who have had good experiences from it. So what's this news article actually saying? Well, I'm going to read the article from Sky News Now from the 14th of July 2023, and I'll give my thoughts along the way. So here we go. Almost 2/3 of Tinder's users are already in a relationship, and half don't even want to date. The research found dating apps have become sources of entertainment and social connection for many users, rather than places to arrange dates or hookups. Nearly 2/3 of people who use Tinder are already in a relationship, with almost half of users not actually interested in finding dates, according to a new study. Researchers spoke to 1,400 users aged between 18 to 74 about their motivations for using the dating app and the number of matches and dates they've had. So I'm going to jump in here straight away and say that, okay, researchers have spoke to 1,400 users. What does this tell us? Well, in my opinion, that is a very small sample size. It says across ages between 18 to 74, so across the whole spectrum. So when we consider that, that is very few people have been asked for each individual age. So not only is it a small sample size in general, but if we consider every single different age group and age bracket, that is even a smaller sample size. For instance, if we were to think of 18 to 25-year-olds, for instance, that is going to be even smaller than the 1,400 users which were actually questioned. So my first thoughts on this is it's a very small sample size. Now, we can't ignore what people are saying, but is that a trend that we should really be buying into? Please let me know in the YouTube comments what you think about this research that's been done, this analysis, so to speak. So anyway, let me continue. They also asked about their self-esteem and whether they were lonely. Many choose to stay active on dating apps, even if they aren't looking for dates or hookups, for the same reasons they use social media. This is what the research suggests. For these users, the platforms have become sources of entertainment and social connection, while providing them with the confidence boost that comes from collecting likes and matches. So again, I'm just going to jump in here and basically say my opinion from experiences I have had and the experiences of people that I've coached have had. I've not heard of anybody actually getting some type of match and an interaction in which the other person made it very, very clear that they was not interested in potentially meeting. Now, I'm not saying that there are people on the app that aren't there for the best reasons, but I would also suggest that those people are probably less likely to interact with somebody that they don't actually want to meet. Now, I appreciate that this research is based on the principle that people have given their feedback, so it doesn't necessarily mean that somebody who has told this report that they're on for entertainment are actually going to be telling other users on the platform. Of course, that is not necessarily or likely to be the case. So just because, I haven't spoke with somebody who has made it very clear they're not here to date, that doesn't mean that people aren't there for the reason of entertainment, for example, for what this research is suggesting. This, of course, is what has been actually told when they have been questioned. However, I do think that this is not necessarily the case because, in my opinion, if people was feeling that there was a very low chance of getting a date, then people would start to leave the platform, the advertising would dry up, etc., etc., etc. Why would a platform such as Tinder have lasted for so long if this was a real problem? Now, I'm not here to say that it's not a problem, but I'm just saying, is this skewed? Please let me know in the YouTube comments your opinion. So again, let me continue a bit further. Study co-author Germano Veracruz, a data scientist and professor of psychology at the University of Picardy, Jules Verne in France, said that dynamic results in a game of deception. This is because those who genuinely want real-life connections have a lower probability of finding success because fewer users are there with the same intentions. Professor Vera Cruz said, some people feel deceived with the use of dating apps because each time you have a new platform, people think that they might really find somebody. And then people go from platform to platform, but each time they're there, they're not satisfied. The researchers found that Tinder users who reported the least satisfaction from the app are the ones using it to cope with negative emotions and other issues, such as an avoidant attachment style or psychological qualities like impulsivity. Now, I'm going to jump in again here. Now, of course, this is just focusing on Tinder. And like I said earlier, Tinder has not always had the best reputation anyway. However, I've met people from Tinder. I know others who have met people from Tinder. Tinder is not a place where you can't meet people. And I think this is really key, where it says, the researchers found that Tinder users who reported the least satisfaction from the app are the ones using it to cope with negative emotions. Okay, and it goes on, obviously, from there. I would say if you were on online dating and you were going on to cope with negative emotions, you are unlikely to be putting your best foot forward. You are unlikely to have a positive outlook. You are unlikely to have a profile which shouts to the world, I'm positive, I'm interesting, and be intriguing enough for somebody to want to have an interaction. So I would suggest that there is a possibility here that the people who have the least success are the ones with the most negative mindset, because it is unfortunately a negative cycle, a negative loop. What came first, the chicken or the egg? We need to just jump in here and say, if you have a negative mindset and you go online dating, and then because you are negative in how you present yourself in your profile or maybe the few interactions that you have, therefore you are less likely to get a date. Also, if your profile isn't engaging, apps like Tinder are probably less likely to put it on the carousel. So, what happens next? Well, you are then less likely to get matches, and even if you do, you are less likely to have a positive interaction and less likely to get a meet. So I think there is a big link here between not having a positive mindset and not getting results on an app like Tinder. So to continue, another co-author of Stanford Medicine said the findings line up with what they have heard from patients who have told him they decided to discard the dating apps after years of trying them out. He said there was a sense that they were spending too much time using them as entertainment or to distract themselves from other things. It can be overwhelming, and in some cases it can lead people to the notion that the grass is always greener on the other side, like there's always better options out there. Now look, I can agree to a certain degree on the whole grass is greener connection to modern living. We do live in a throwaway culture, unfortunately. Whereas in the past, you may have heard people say, well, my parents or my grandparents, they would try to fix something rather than throwing it away and buying it new. Well, people are doing this in relationships as well. There's definitely a trend with that. But you could also argue, were people happy back then when they quote unquote worked on things for decades and decades and decades and seemingly still never found the happiness that they really craved? So there could be an argument the other way of should people be deserving of happiness and shouldn't they have to put up with years and years and years of a bad relationship? There is the argument either way. Is throwaway culture something which is a big problem, or are people just more understanding of what they deserve in life and always go seeking it? Let me know in YouTube comments your thoughts. So just to finish this article, it says in 2014, Tinder's then marketing officer, Justin Mantine, told The Guardian, "We never intended it to be a dating platform. It's a social discovery platform facilitating an introduction between two people. The company's challenged past studies but examined the marital status of its users. And in 2015, it said hundreds of success stories emailed to us every week about a new engagement or marriage." So Tinder, especially back in 2015, it seems, were fighting their corner. And also, prior to that, was actually suggesting it wasn't even a dating site. Now, I don't really know what I make about that comment. But if we are to summarise and generalise here, what do I think of this article? Well, I would say, firstly, it's a small sample size. This certainly doesn't represent everybody on Tinder. And again, if you really focus on the specific age brackets, the sample size is even smaller. Secondly, we can certainly link negativity to bad results. And that goes for anything in life. If you're negative going into a job interview, you're much less likely to get that job. So I would suggest we have to really take these results with a grain of salt, but that's not to say there isn't some truth in it. Maybe the modern day throwaway culture, maybe the social media culture in people's mindsets is changing attitudes towards things like Tinder. Please, again, let me know in the YouTube comments your thoughts on Tinder and online dating in general. I would love to hear what you think, but this is the opinion of the Sky News article, the Sky News research, seemingly that they did, which was almost 2/3 of Tinder users are already in a relationship and half don't even want to date. Let me know your thoughts and I'll drop another podcast soon.